बच्चे जो हैं इतना ज़्यादा ये गैजेट्स फ्रीक हो गए हैं, एंड प्लस इफ वी टॉक अबाउट द ब्रांड्स ऑल्सो, so they are more brand conscious कि उनको satisfaction नहीं है.
Personal finance, which is financial education, should be made compulsory in all school courses.
हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम टू द येट अनदर एपिसोड ऑफ फिनोमिक्स ऑन ओ माई फाइनेंस. मैं हूं आपके साथ चारू. फिनोमिक्स एक वीकली पॉडकास्ट है जिसमें हम पर्सनल फाइनेंस, इन्वेस्टिंग, स्टॉक मार्केट्स और इकोनॉमी से रिलेटेड टॉपिक्स पर चर्चा करते हैं. यू कैन कैच इट ऑन यूट्यूब, स्पॉटिफाई, गूगल पॉडकास्ट, एप्पल पॉडकास्ट, जियो सावन, गाना and a host of other streaming platforms. The greatest gift you can give your children are the roots of responsibility and the wings of financial independence. It is very important to plan your finances and save money for your children to secure their future and give them a better life ahead. आज हमारा पॉडकास्ट इसी टॉपिक पर होने जा रहा है कि आप अपने बच्चों के लिए फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग कैसे और कब करें. इस चिल्ड्रंस डे के खास मौके पर हम आपको बताएंगे कि आप फाइनेंशियल सिक्योरिटी का क्या तोहफा दे सकते हैं. मेरे साथ है गौरव चौधरी, जो एक सीनियर जर्नलिस्ट हैं, कमेंटेटर है और साथ ही को-फाउंडर एंड सीईओ ऑफ ईयरशॉट डिजी मीडिया, an award-winning podcasting platform. Welcome Gaurav, so delighted to have you on the podcast.
Thank you, Charu, for having me, and I take this opportunity to wish all the children who are watching us and a very, very happy Children's Day.
So गौरव, इस चिल्ड्रंस डे के खास मौके पर आप हमारे दर्शकों को बताइए कि कितना ज़रूरी है अपने बच्चे के फ्यूचर को प्लान करना और कैसे और कब करें.
Absolutely essential. I mean, this is something among all our financial planning goals. I think planning for children's financial needs is something that is talked about the least, and that is a little unfortunate because while we always talk about trying to save money or for building a house or buying a house or buying a car or even for vacationing or holidaying, we generally don't see the same amount of planning and also the same amount of urgency, if I may say so, for children's educational and other financial needs, and that is something that is absolutely essential. So if you in the hierarchy of financial goals, I think children's financial needs should be among the topmost priorities, and one of the key things here is to remember that we have to start early. My advice to all parents, young parents, to-be parents, is that please start as early as possible, and as early as possible in this case means almost on the day itself the child is born, because then you have a 18 to 20 year horizon in front of you to plan. Why I say 18 years? Because it's around that age that children start going to college, and college education fee is one of the biggest financial spending that takes place in any family's life cycle. So if you don't plan for it, you will not be able to meet that. And always please keep in mind that when you are planning for college education fee, you need to keep in mind that what would be the college education 18 years from now, not today. So you have to index it with inflation, and that is that requires a fair degree of planning too, and that is why you have to choose the financial plans, etc., quite meticulously. You need to, among other things also, besides planning for education, and in many cases also for meeting the marriage spending needs when the child grows up and gets married, you need to plan, and these are all again long-term financial planning goals, and by long-term I mean at least a minimum of 10 years. Now if you, just to give you an example, if you're assuming that you get a return of 12%, annualized return of 12% over a period of 15 years, so if you want to save say 50 lakh rupees over a 15-year period, then you have to save about 10,500 rupees as of today, current rate per month. Now if you start late, suppose you have joined a queue late and you have decided to start planning only 5 years later, so you have a 10-year horizon or maybe a 5-year horizon, then that amount of money that you have to save proportionately will go up. So keep all of those in mind. But besides that also, please bear in mind that it is absolutely essential to buy a good insurance policy, Now, that is a medical insurance policy and various other things. I am sure many of our viewers would have a medical insurance policy in the form of a family floater or something else. But it's also important to have a specific insurance policy, both medical and life and other insurance policies for the child itself, specifically for the child. These are very, very important goals that we should not ignore, because these are vital goals. After all, children is the life of any family, and that their financial needs should have paramount importance.
Yeah. So गौरव, आपने जैसे बोला कि डे 1 पे ही स्टार्ट कर दें, 18 ईयर्स तक वेट ना करें, बिकॉज आपके बच्चे के लिए आपके कितने गोल्स हैं, हायर एजुकेशन हो गया, मैरिज हो गया. सो गौरव, टू स्टार्ट विद आप ये बताइए कि मार्केट में इतने सारे चाइल्ड प्लान्स अवेलेबल हैं. सो इस चिल्ड्रंस डे के खास मौके पर बजाय कुछ गैजेट देने की बजाय आप अपने बच्चे को क्या चिल्ड्रन प्लान गिफ्ट कर सकते हैं?
Absolutely, because if you gift them, and this year particularly Children's Day falls around the Diwali period, so instead of giving them a Diwali gift, of course you give them Diwali gifts, but if you give them a financial plan, that is probably going to benefit them the most, because it's going to have a positive impact on the way the career shapers, particularly in the form of education, roadmap for education, etc. I would always recommend that you open up a SIP. Most of the asset management companies and most of the mutual funds have specific children plans. You take a look at those depending on how old your child is and how many years is it from now before your child actually attains a certain age where you have to make a lump sum payment like an education fee or a marriage, etc. Or even if you intend to buy an asset like a house for your child, for instance, even then you need to plan. So that, but I would always recommend that go with a SIP, systematic investment plan, of a specific mutual fund or an asset management company which are specifically designed for children, because these are long term in nature, and as over a 10 to 15 year period you will see that you have hedged all your risks, because the market volatility risks anyway would have been taken care of over a 15-year period. But also if you're investing in a SIP, systematic investment plan of a child designed specifically for children's financial needs, you will notice that the annualized returns will be far higher than others because you stay invested for a longer period of time. So any of these mutual funds, which are among the top performing mutual funds, maybe the top 5 or the top 10, their specific children plans are something that I would recommend that you take a close look at before you gift it to your child.
सो गौरव, माई नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, ये तो हो गई फाइनेंशियल सिक्योरिटी की बात. जहाँ तक फाइनेंशियल एजुकेशन की बात आती है, एंड स्पेशली इन टुडेज वर्ल्ड, इफ़ वी सी लाइक गैजेट्स, टेक्नोलॉजी, जो बच्चे जो हैं इतना ज़्यादा ये गैजेट्स फ्रीक हो गए हैं, एंड प्लस इफ़ वी टॉक अबाउट द ब्रांड्स ऑल्सो, सो दे आर मोर ब्रांड कॉन्शियस, कि उनको सेटिस्फैक्शन नहीं है, एक फ़ोन है लेकिन दूसरा उनको एप्पल चाहिए. सो कितना इम्पॉर्टेंट है ये बच्चों को फाइनेंशियल एजुकेशन के बारे में अवेयर कराना, मनी का वैल्यू अवेयर कराना?
Absolutely. Children learn from the parents. Parents are the first role model. And in my view, I still do not understand why personal finance is not a compulsory element of school curriculum. Personal finance, which is financial education, should be made compulsory in all school courses, right from the middle school right up to secondary school, because that is when, if you make it compulsory in schools, you will get to know that children understand more than anything else the concept of saving, because until they start saving themselves, they always believe that they always see only one side of one side of the equation, which is expenditure, that they are spending, because they are mostly spending. But if you teach them the concept of saving, the importance of saving, the idea of saving, then they get to understand the importance of financial planning. And when they start growing up and when they join their careers and become professionals themselves, they will also start early. So it is, and when if schools if for some reason it's still not a part of a compulsory school curriculum in India yet, parents, I advise all parents to make it absolutely essential, to make it part of their household discussions. Concepts of saving and personal finance, including concepts like a mutual fund or a systematic investment plan, or even concepts like the power of compounding, where even small amounts can lead to, over a long period of time, can lead to substantial savings, is something that a child should start learning as soon as possible, both in schools as well as in households. And that is why it is important for families to talk about financial planning in a very, very clear, elaborate manner with their children, so that they understand that you should not spend beyond your means, and more importantly, you should start saving early.
Absolutely. So आपने SIP का जिक्र किया, so मेरा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन उससे ही रिलेटेड है कि आमतौर पर ये सवाल होते हैं कि अगर किसी के पास अगर रिटायरमेंट फंड है या कहीं से उसको बहुत बड़ा लमसम गिफ्टिंग अमाउंट मिला है, तो like what's advisable कि अपना पोर्टफोलियो वो कैसे बिल्ड करे, बिकॉज यू नो SIPs आर ऑल्सो इन ट्रेंड एंड उसमें आपको लाइक यू नो एवरेजिंग का भी अब बेनिफिट होता है. सो लाइक व्हाट्स द अप्रोच, SIP और द लमसम?
So if it's depending on what amount you are getting, you know, if you are getting say a relatively smaller amount, I would recommend that you put it aside in one instrument like an FD. And also if this is a retirement savings that you're getting, retirement funds that you're getting because you have retired, and over a period of your career you would have you have been entitled to some funds like gratuity or provident fund, etc. And if you're talking about those kind of funds, and clearly we were talking about people who are 60 plus, so as logically we would assume that they would have a lower risk taking ability, so they would like to invest, set aside that money in low risk instruments, not as much in an FD, but there are low risk mutual funds too. But if you're looking at a 15-year horizon, suppose not an early, you're not superannuated yet, you have not retired yet, but you have got a lump sum payment and you have a 15 to 20 year period still ahead of you, where you have to set aside this money, then you go with a mix of all asset classes, I would say, because then it enables you to have a balanced portfolio out of these funds. So it could be a mix of fixed deposits, which is essentially a very small proportion should go to fixed deposits. Then out of this, and you start setting aside money where you put money in small chunks, in SIPs. Over a 10 to 15 year period. The reason I say that, because then you can ride on the power of compounding over a 10 to 15 year period, and some money you should also set aside in gold or a physical asset like real estate if possible.
So my last question, गौरव, ये सारे आपने प्लान्स तो बता दिए, जो गवर्नमेंट की स्कीम है सुकन्या समृद्धि योजना, जो है स्पेशली गर्ल चाइल्ड के लिए, उसके बारे में थोड़ा सा डिटेल्स बताइए.
So Sukhanya Samriddhi Yojana is now a very popular scheme. What it does is that it enables you to invest in a minimum deposit of rupees 250 and a maximum deposit of rupees 1.5 lakh in a financial year. You can open an account in the name of a girl child until the girl child attains the age of 10, which means the earlier you start, the better it is. The fund matures when the girl child achieves the age of 21, or if she gets married off at 18. But after the 15th year, you don't have to keep on setting aside money or keep on investing money any longer. After the 15th year, you have the option of not setting aside any money. The money that you have saved until the 15th year then will keep on accruing interest on its own, and will at the time of maturity in the 21st year of the girl child, you will get all the interest plus all the savings that you have made, the principal that you have made until the 15th year. It has become extremely popular now, and I think this is because it also gives you the tax benefits. It comes under Section 80C of the Income Tax Act. Deductions are eligible under Section 80C of the Income Tax Act, and interest earned on Sukhanya Samriddhi Yojana are also not taxable. So it is something what we have called the EEE, exempt category of savings instruments, particularly for the girl child. I think this is something that is getting very, very popular increasingly among young parents of girl children.
थैंक यू सो मच गौरव, बहुत अच्छा लगा आपसे बातचीत करके, एंड थैंक यू फॉर हैविंग ऑन द पॉडकास्ट.
थैंक यू सो मच.
तो इस चिल्ड्रंस डे के खास मौके पर आप अपने बच्चे को कोई गैजेट की बजाय आप फाइनेंशियल सिक्योरिटी का तोहफा दे सकते हैं. आज इस पॉडकास्ट में इतना ही. हर ट्यूसडे हम नया वीडियो अपलोड करते हैं, तो फटाफट से ओ माई फाइनेंस को सब्सक्राइब करिए और साथ ही बेल आइकन को भी हिट करिएगा, सो दैट कोई भी न्यू वीडियो अपलोड होती है आपके पास नोटिफिकेशन तुरंत पहुंच जाए.